All right. BOZ to the ING here. Today we're going over some MMA news. Not really much to say. Let's get straight into it. The first piece is that Arman says he might go down to featherweight if he'll keep struggling at getting a title fight at lightweight. Says he's going to try to get the title at 145. Him and his coach, Coach Cal, who's his strength and conditioning coach, who is a very well-established strength and conditioning coach, helped TJ Dillashaw get down to 125, if I'm not mistaken. Help Hamzat get that cardio, make weight, and get that 5-round cardio for the middleweight division and his title fight with Dricus. And Arman says he did the math with him and his body could get there. It wouldn't be easy, but it's doable. That's what he says. So I don't know, because he's a very muscular guy. He's very bulky, muscular. He doesn't have a lot of body fat from what it seems like, a lot of weight to cut. I mean, maybe he could get down there, but I think it would be pretty dangerous. He's already struggled with 155 in the past. It's thought that he didn't make weight. I remember he said on Aiden Ross' podcast he had a hernia in the fight where he pulled out with Islam. But I don't know. It's hard to say if he really does struggle to get to 155, because he said he walks around at 175, 177 in this video. So not really like a crazy cut. It'll be 30 pounds. That is a lot. And it depending on who you are, it might. But and honestly, if he goes down to 145, he might not even get a title shot with how much disdain Dana has for him. But with his whole PR run that he's going on, he's getting a lot of fans, a lot of traction. He's a funny ass dude. I'm not gonna lie. From all the videos I've seen and some other things we'll get into after, he's a funny ass dude. I think he obviously deserves a title shot. I think he was saying he either fights a top 5 guy while Gaethje and Ilya are going at it. He goes down to 145, and I forgot his other option, but I think a couple options for him are fighting the winner of Charles and Max in a 5-rounder, not for the BMF belt, but just for a number 1 contender fight, basically. Even though I think Arman should 100% get the title shot, but I think that would be a very good option. You could do that sometime in the summer. A rematch with Charles, very interesting. Charles could get his redemption. Arman could set it straight, which I think Arman clearly won the fight. He outstruck Charles like a lot, and Charles only had submission attempts. That can be a 5-rounder. People were saying Charles won that fight there. He said that if it was a 5-rounder, he would have submitted Arman. So it's a very interesting fight. And then Max, those are the second and third best lightweights in the world, in my opinion. You have Ilya, of course, number 1. If he does fight Gaethje at the White House, you could set up Arman versus Max, maybe even at the White House too, since Max will represent America and, of course, Hawaii. Maybe set that up at the White House or sometime in the summer. I think Max versus Arman would make a lot of sense. I think Max beats Charles. Maybe an international fight, we could do Charles Arman 2, something like that. Or BSD gets a really good win this weekend over Dan Hooker. They have a common opponent who they both just beat. Maybe you could do Arman versus BSD, which I think Arman will beat the shit out of him. But, you know, there's not many other options, because you could do Arman versus Gamrot, who's, I think, the highest ranked guy who's not booked, I think, at number 7. Paddy's going to be out for a while. I think at least 6 months for Paddy before he fights again. He just took an absolute beating. He got knocked out. He's definitely badly concussed. I had a few moments in that fight where I thought it was done. But, yeah, Arman, and now let's talk about Arman at 145. If he could make the weight healthy and is still able to be strong, chin holds up, cardio holds up, I think he'd give everyone some problems in this division. Like even Volk, he could definitely beat. If I think Arman right now, their powers right now, Arman would beat Volk. Just the pressure and the rest. And I think Arman would be able to get him down and do some ground and pound and stuff like that. Arman has some underrated striking, fast, little bit of thud in his shots, good kicks. I think he could really give Volk some problems with that. It would be a close fight, but I think at this point in time, Arman would beat Volk. Movsar, I think Arman's a better wrestler, better striker. Lerone, that's like another Movsar type of fight for Lerone, which they're also going to be probably making this week. Probably get announced, Movsar versus Lerone for March 21st in London, main event. But yeah, I think Arman could definitely be a champ at 145 if he could make the weight in a healthy manner that's not too detrimental to him. But I'm just not sure. I mean, they did the math, but I'd rather him just stay at lightweight, honestly. Because they are fucking him, but if he goes to featherweight, they might fuck him. They might just fuck him too, make him fight another time instead of giving him a title shot. Which they actually probably would end up doing that. Probably would end up having to fight a contender fight, then get a title shot. But I think he has to get a title shot this year. Like he shouldn't have got one again after he pulled out of the Islam fight. I understand he ruined an event on 1 day notice, main event. But I think after he beat Dan Hooker, you get your win back. And he made weight as a backup for Ilya and Charles. You got your redemption, bro. He should have got a title shot. Because if Ilya was ready in January, he still wouldn't have gotten it. They would have done Ilya Paddy. That was the first thing. But yeah, so I think if he can make 145, I still wouldn't do it. I would stay at 155. I think he's bound to get a title shot this year, and I think he beats everyone but Ilya. So next up, more about Arman. He says Gaethje Ilya is a waste of time. I agree. After we saw Gaethje this weekend, reportedly on staff. Let me see if I could pull up. Where is it? Oh, here. So Ali says Gaethje took antibiotics for the wound on his neck before the Pimblett fight. Says he had ingrown hair. Took some antibiotics, but he was fine. No excuses. I don't think that was ingrown hair, honestly. That looks like a fucking staph infection. And it was bad. It was there for a couple weeks. It looked bad. That does not look like an ingrown hair. I've had some bad ingrown hairs. They don't even come close to that. So yeah, maybe you could say he was compromised, but I think there's the way he performed. He was slower, wasn't as slick, defensively even worse than normal. Ilya's just going to go out there and brutalize him. Justin could have success with a jab, like Volk did. Low kicks, because Ilya doesn't really check kicks or have great kicking defense, if I remember correctly. Hasn't been tested by someone that throws them as heavy and as frequent as Gaethje, even though he didn't throw them that much in the Pimblett fight early on. I'd still think Ilya just brutalizes him, just runs through. If you're moving forward towards Ilya and he doesn't have to find that range and find his shots, he's gonna fuck you up. You saw it with Charles, and then Volk and Max, they were not running, but just staying on the outside, staying smart. And Ilya still caught him. Like I remember watching that Max fight back a couple weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, and I remember Max is like staying at range very well, using his kicks, getting in and out, which Justin doesn't have that movement to get in and out. And like lateral movement, just kind of move forward and take a bunch of shots, which Paddy was hitting him a lot. And Ilya's way cleaner, way more powerful than Paddy. So yeah, Max was doing really good until Ilya found his range and the tide completely turned. You could tell the moment in the fight, it was like the middle of the second round, the tide just completely turns in the fight. Like you could just kind of see where Ilya starts hitting more. Max isn't able to hit as much and stuff like that. So yeah, I think this fight is, of course, a waste of time. It's good. We already know the outcome. It's Ilya round 1 knockout. If Justin wants to come forward, maybe if he plays a little smarter, yeah, because he could adapt a game plan for Ilya that's a little smarter. Stay on that outside a little more, calf kick, jab, but it's a round 1 or 2 knockout. I'd say round 1. Arman also says Paddy's a bitch, and he has no MMA skills, has a chin, and that's it. He needs to take a break from the UFC for 5 or 6 years. That's what I'm saying with Arman. I would like for UFC to cut him, worse UFC fighter. So I'm saying with Arman. He's funny as fuck, I'm not going to lie. But talking about Paddy Pimblett's performance a little bit. We saw no defense. Not great fight IQ, honestly. Just a chin. He got chin really bad. Striking was terrible. He was like, I remember there was one, he like punched like slap. It was terrible. But yeah, he just kind of backed himself up to the fence. Didn't really try to like pull guard in the clinch or trip or throw. Just got beat up in the clinch. Didn't shoot any takedowns except for one, I think. I know you're not a wrestler, but you at least have to try. Try to jump triangle maybe. Flying triangle against a cage, but he didn't do that. He didn't do anything. Just backed up against the cage, tried to counter, and just got clipped. So yeah, again, Arman speaking facts. Next up, Arman says he wants to buy Ilya's $3.5 million house in Madrid. Ilya just put up, this is a point about Ilya, he just put up that house in Madrid for $3.5 million. And maybe we get a money-hungry Ilya. Maybe he stays in more for the dollars. Because I know his ex-wife was super rich. I think she was the reason he had that $2 million gym in the house. But, or whatever it was, $1 million, $2 million. Maybe now we get an Ilya that's more hungry, more staying in there. Because he's only 28, 29. I think he just turned 29. 29 years old, Ilya. He already has a crazy legacy with his knockouts back to back, and his contender wins are very good as well. The names like Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell, Yusuf Zalal before he became what he is today, a ranked fighter. But man, if Ilya could go out there and be a little hungrier again, fight 2 times a year, fight for a few more years, this guy could be fucking the GOAT in the lightweight division. But I think he'll move up to welterweight before, maybe even before fighting Arman. I hope not, but we'll see, dude. On to Petr Yan. A couple days ago, or yesterday, he said that the Merab trilogy is his next fight. The UFC guaranteed him a rematch with me. Now, this brings up some questions. Petr Yan just went surgery on his lumbar. He was under anesthesia for 9 hours, so a pretty long surgery. Says expects to be back in action in a couple months. So I'm guessing, of course, be able to be back in camp in a couple months. So it gives him it's basically February. Say start camp April and fight in June. I know that Merab was saying no Russians at the White House. Their fight's not going to be at the White House. Maybe you do that late June. Maybe early May. Or late May, I'm sorry, if they have a pay-per-view, like late, mid-May. We'll see, depending on when Petr Yan could get back in there. And I think this means Sean O'Malley might have to get a contender fight in before fighting Petr Yan, because then that means Sean O'Malley's going to... actually, I don't know. Because if Petr Yan fights Merab in like June, they fight, maybe he turns around for November. If Petr Yan wins, of course, and Sean O'Malley waits all the way till November, 10 months. Not a crazy layoff, but it's a big layoff. After no damn, I don't know, he might have broke his foot. I remember saw him in a boot. But that means Sean O'Malley might have to get a contender fight. Maybe they do him versus Umar. It's a very good, that should be another contender fight. Maybe do him versus Sandhagen at the White House. That makes a lot of sense. That could be a very good fight on the main card or whatever it may be. But yeah, so I think this has some implications for the title picture. Sean O'Malley might have to get another fight in. Maybe they don't keep him out that long. I thought it would maybe happen in August or September. He would be fighting Petr Yan. If Petr Yan beat Merab, I would think they would fight in April. But, it's a lot different now. So, we'll see with that. But I think Sean O'Malley's still going to sit out and still get the title shot. Next up, Ariel Helwani says that the UFC could potentially book McGregor versus Pimblett. It says, of the realistic and winnable options, Paddy's probably the best one. Now, okay, Paddy, his stock's a little low, look like shit. But will they fight at welterweight or lightweight? I think Conor, I don't know if he can make lightweight anymore. He's big, he's a big dude. But this is not a fight I've already had in mind, but it makes sense of of active guys. This is probably the only guy Conor could maybe fight. I can't really think of him fighting anybody else, especially because I'll get to another point in a second. But Conor, who's he going to fight? They said, Dana White said no Masvidal, no Chandler. Nate Diaz 3, that's a good option. I think that's the best option in my opinion. Paddy, I don't know. Paddy looked like shit. He couldn't get it to the ground. Conor, as slicker striking than Gaethje. I know he's been out for 5 years at this point. 5 years. But, I think Conor McGregor could actually beat Pimblett. And the next point I'll get to why this fight might make some sense. Dan Hooker was saying that Conor went to Paddy's house to confront him and Paddy refused to come outside. I think he said around 2022, 2021. This guy talks and gets caught on his shit and turns into a victim. Is that common knowledge? He talks shit about McGregor. Then McGregor drove around to his house, sat outside calling the bloke. Paddy refused to come outside. I don't know how true this is. It's Dan Hooker, CTE Max. I don't know. I've never heard of this before. I honestly didn't hear this. I know they had a little back and forth before, if I'm not mistaken. But I've never heard of this. And, it could be a storyline. If this is actually true, it actually comes out, they get a little beef going, it could make sense for a Conor comeback fight. But if it's a White House, I don't know if Paddy will make that turnaround. That's less than 5 months after getting absolutely fucking destroyed, beat up, concussed. So we'll see. I don't know. It's a very weird fight. I don't even know if that makes sense, honestly. Next up, and lastly, fucking JDM's coach says they're targeting a return in April or May and says Carlos Prates is one of the names being thrown around. We're looking for April, May to get Jack back. Prates is one of the names being thrown around. There's other names being thrown around. Nothing signed yet, and it would be nice to have a striker. Because he's had Gilbert Burns, grappler, Bilal, wrestler, grappler, and then Islam, wrestler, grappler. So Carlos Prates, I think it's a good fight to make, honestly, for Prates, because I think they might end up doing Morales title shot, from what I'm hearing, or what I've heard, what Islam was saying. I forgot who else. There's another source saying Morales might get the title shot. Ian Gary might get a title shot. Shavkat's still in the mix. I think these two going down would be really nice. Hopefully it's 5 rounds. And it's an interesting fight because in 3 rounds, it's like Carlos Prates doesn't have to worry about cardio. He can be more aggressive, but he has less time to find a shot and get into a flow. But in a 5-rounder, Carlos Prates has to worry a little bit more about his cardio, more time to get into his rhythm, find a big shot, and he has to be less aggressive. It's weird with JDM because I think JDM will outbox Carlos Prates. It's gonna be on the feet. JDM has good movement, good angle work. He has good defense. In a 3-rounder, I'd honestly lean JDM, but 5 rounds, Prates, I'd say, because I think he'll be able to find a shot. It's a weird dynamic because I think it could be like 5 rounds benefit, like 3 rounds, 5 rounds benefits both of them. Because JDM, you're gonna be in a 5-rounder, you're gonna be dealing with less of a aggressive Carlos Prates, I think, but more time to get hit hard by Prates, who has crazy KO power. I haven't seen JDM's chin tested much, and then in a 3-rounder you have less time to get hit with a big shot, but Carlos Prates can be more aggressive. Same thing with Prates. Like I said, it's a very interesting fight. 3 rounds I lean JDM, 5 rounds I lean Carlos Prates. I think it's a really good fight to make. JDM needs to fight down. Prates needs to fight up. This would be very fun. And if Morales gets a title shot, maybe you do Shavkat versus Gary too. Maybe a Usman versus a Shavkat, something like that. It's difficult though because there's like an odd number of contenders in there because you have Ian Gary, Prates, JDM, who still needs to get a big fight. Shavkat, what did I say? I said Prates, JDM, Gary, Shavkat, Morales. Like, it's like 5 guys in that mix that makes it kind of tough to match make. And then you obviously have Islam and all that. You have Morales, of course, in there. So it's like 7 guys total in the title picture, basically, or in that top range. So yeah, that's all the news I have for you guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.